Welcome to Your Soul Wisdom, hosted by Yana Amor Manocas. In each episode, we invite you on a transformative journey delving into the profound mysteries and wisdom of the soul. Join us as we explore a wide array of spiritual topics and sacred practices that nurture and heal the soul, from reincarnation and soul contracts to the enigmatic experiences of womb alchemy and astral travel. Our discussions are designed to enlighten, inspire, and deepen your understanding of your own soul's journey. With Your Soul Wisdom, nothing is off limits. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Your Soul Wisdom. We have our lovely Past Life Regressionist, sixth member of the girl gang, Daniel here.
Hi, girl gang.
Hi, Daniel.
Yes, hi. Okay, listen, everybody, if you have not already subscribed to our new YouTube channel, take a photo of this beautiful, what is this again, you guys? QR code. Thank you. QR code above my head over here, just like that. Go ahead and subscribe, like or comment. It is the best way to support us, you guys, and we appreciate it so much. Okay, I got to get to Daniel now. Now, you ladies don't know the story I'm about to share. Last month, everybody knows I'm in Chicago. Daniel lives in California. I just totally outed you, okay? Last month, Daniel was apparently... Daniel texted me it was a Saturday at 10:24 in the morning. Okay. And he says, "Hey, I'm in St. Louis today. You want to meet me for lunch at 10:24?" Now, St. Louis from Chicago is like a 5-hour drive.
Oh,
and he goes, and then he goes, hold on. He goes, "Do you want to meet up for lunch? I'm in St. Louis. You can drive here if you want, but I have to be finished by 4. And I'm thinking to myself,
didn't really want you to come.
No heads up. Nothing. I'm like, do you realize, like, I'm not like half an hour away? Daniel, like, what were you thinking? That I'd get there and 30 minutes later, lunch would be done and I would leave?
No, it was a joke.
It was not a joke. You were hoping I was going to be there.
Come on. You really think I would have planned that the day of, knowing you were in Chicago? I didn't know. Like, I was there for a wedding in St. Louis, so I didn't know what was going on. So if I knew, like, I would have planned it out. I've been like, "Hey, Jan, I'm going to be in St. Louis in 2 months. Here's the day." But the day of, I just thought it was funny because it's like, "Hey, we're going to have a half an hour for lunch. You want me to drive over 4 hours to get there?" I'll be like, "Well, yeah, I don't have a car." But we didn't get that far in the conversation.
No, because there was no way I was like, this is a typical man thing, right? Where they don't plan
not
it
typical.
out.
Well, yeah, I'm not that. Like, yeah, I'm a planner. Like, that's
you're
not
a planner. Yes.
Yeah, no, it was a joke. It was totally a joke.
Okay, well,
you know, I like messing with you. I mean, that's kind of like our shtick. So.
Yeah, it really is.
Are we going to witness it throwdown? Because I'm going to go make some popcorn. I'm ready to go.
No, because Daniel remembers that this is my territory with him, so he has to be nice to me on our territory, right, Daniel?
Well, you just outed where he lived, so do you want to tell the city and the street too? Like, we can amplify this beef.
I actually don't know.
Yeah, don't encourage her.
But okay, so it's actually perfect timing, as it always is, that you're here on this day, because you were actually scheduled to come on a different day. We had to reschedule. But last week we had this whole discussion on the specific dream that I had, and I'm going to catch really quickly, like the Cliff Notes, Daniel, is that I had a dream. These men in black essentially were trying to like take me to go to what I perceived as the other side, the dark side. And I had to have that experience. And I was like, I'm not doing it. No way. And so it was this constant, like, you got to come. Everyone has to experience it, blah, blah, blah. We actually had somebody who left. We had many comments that were left on the stream, on the recording, but I want to read one of them because it's going to tie into regression, Daniel, which is your field, okay? And so then I want to dive into it because you also recently had an experience with Kylie, which we also need to get into. But let me read to you what this person commented. They said, I had a similar experience where I had a very detailed and long dream. At the end, these 3 men wanted me to join them, to go with them, but they would not tell me where we were going, why I should go with them, or why I should join them. It was uncomfortable enough that I started to wake up, where I then burned them out of my field. Under hypnosis, I was told by my higher self that it had been a test, that I had learned to discern the ability, or I had learned to discern basically good versus evil in the waking world. And I needed to learn how to use my discernment in the dream metaphysical world. My higher self told me that I had passed the test. Isn't that wild?
But what would have happened if she had failed the test?
Well, I don't know.
They'd fly to St. Louis and threaten to go and have lunch with Yana.
Actually, it turns out that this was a member from our collective that recently joined. You guys will know who I'm talking about, a male. And so it's interesting, Daniel, because I've had a regression with you. Actually, I've had a few regressions with you. I've never consciously connected with my higher self, where it's obvious to me that it's my higher self talking to me. That's not how it works for me. But I'm wondering, like this other individual, if you in your sessions have had people connect directly to higher self and kind of gain this kind of knowledge.
Maybe. You know, I think that I know you guys aren't going to like that gray area there. I don't think that this is black and white, though. You know, it's difficult for me to specifically comment on this one in particular because I wasn't there.
Of course.
But in general, I do believe there is a possibility for conscious interference when we are connecting with the higher self, even through hypnosis. So I don't know what the background that this person has on that type of thing, you know, indulging in the kind of, you know, we'll just say content or material that has to do with the dark side or darkness or, you know, failing tests and whatnot. And if it's a matter of confirmation bias that they're doing the right thing, or that it can just strictly be, hey, this was real. It was a real test that was presented and they passed the test. So it's, yeah, I mean, it does come up, but for me, I never just take it at face value that, oh, it was absolutely this. It's more so, could this have been metaphorical? And if it was metaphorical, what is the parallel to something that's more real world? Or, you know, where's just the person who's a jerk in your life where you're failing the test of dealing with them because you're not using your discernment and knowing that, hey, this person ain't the best person in the world, or I'm taking them at face value, or just because they're wearing a white suit instead of a black one, that means I should listen to them because it's not black. Well, I don't know. Does it work that way? So does that answer the question? I think yes, no, maybe so.
No, like 0%. 0%.
You know, honestly, when you were telling the story, Yana, I had a similar reaction, and I'm thinking, you know, let's just say it was entities that were testing this woman out and this kind of thing. Well, as soon as you get into that kind of thing, then it's also duplicitous that the whole lot could be something that has been manufactured to mislead this woman. And it's exactly the opposite to how she experienced it. If you want to go down that track at all, do you know what I mean? I lean more towards what Daniel says, and it's just like think about how it's playing out in your actual life. But
of course, listen, of course, our dreams, essentially, for the most part, kind of represent how our life is playing out, right? Like very often for me, if there's turmoil going on in my everyday life, I'm going to experience that same kind of energy in my dreams and vice versa. The good with the good, most of the time, not all the time. But even past this person's dream and my dream, the whole point of connecting to higher self it's a concept to me that I just don't understand. I don't even know what that feels like, what that sounds like, what that looks like, none of that. And so, but this person was actually able to do it through regression. And my question was, have you had lots of sessions where people are able to connect to that higher version of themselves and receive more of a spiritual kind of information as opposed to, oh, in my past life, I was X, Y, and Z? Like, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. And yes, I do believe that's the case, but in all transparency, I believe that more times than not, it's not the case, and that there isn't a pure connection going on. It happens, but sometimes I think that there is interference. So for that in particular, let's just say for the first 3/4 of it, everything was as is. But at a certain point, in like that final quarter, that individual kicked in a little bit more and then kind of put their perspective on it. So for those first 3/4, the feeling I'm even getting is that may have even been a memory, not even so much a connection, but something that they may have experienced in that in-between state when they were between life and death. And it was like leading up to this moment where they crossed to another realm or dimension or something of that nature. But then at the last moment, their mind kicked in, even in the regression, and started the chit chat of, oh, I remember seeing this thing on Instagram, or I remember reading this thing, and I felt in line with that. So the connection is not fully severed, but it's not fully pure at that point. So it's almost like this conflation of what you perceive and what is actually being presented. And then you kind of just mix it together.
But you can say that about everything. You can say that about my... Oh, okay, so then what are we doing here, Daniel?
Well, yeah, I mean, sure, you can say it about everything. But like I said, I think the pure connection is rare, is very rare. And I think we're very powerful as humans in that we have that ability to push forward and project. And even in my nearly decade doing this, I'm seeing more and more that even perspective in a regression kind of gets flipped on its head, where for the longest time, I thought when you saw someone from a third person perspective, that you were always seeing yourself. Like when you identified, oh, I'm seeing this person right now, it's me. But the more and more I've been looking at it, I've been thinking, wait, what if it's not? What if they're actually someone else and they are viewing this person through, let's just say, 4 different moments in that life where they just happen to be standing right next to them? And it's their perception of identifying with this person a little more than they may want to identify with themselves in that particular life. So it's that human perception at that point that makes the connection. Now, at the end of the day, I don't know if it really matters as long as they're getting the lesson and seeing that, hey, I was a part of this thing and it went great. So what's the parallel to now? But I think we still shape those events through the eyes that we're looking at, whatever it may be, because we're human. And still with that higher self, when it comes in, it comes in and it may even be pure for half of the time, but then someone may get an answer they may not like. And then they're going to kind of come through a little bit more because like, oh no, I don't like that. And then it's not that it's fully gone, but sometimes we just really want to hear what we want to hear. And then we can point to it and say, hey, I had a regression and my higher self said this is what happened. Where, I don't know, maybe it's a mixture of faith even in that situation. Maybe it was having faith in self or faith in the process, faith in that in-between space and where you're going next, whether it's a good place or a bad place. But I can't eliminate the possibility of, okay, I'm gonna I'm just gonna pass that over to Rachel because I want to leave that on a dot.
This is the thing, because I've had a couple of sessions with you, Daniel, and these are the kind of things that are coming up for me. Okay, so I honestly believe on some level you could only be connecting with other versions of yourselves or higher versions of yourself or whatever anyone wants to call it. There may not be an actual hierarchy in self kind of stuff.
Oh, can I say one more thing really quick? Can I jump in then? Last thing with that, the same thing, just with what Rachel's saying. Do we even know what we're really talking to all the time? Rachel.
But look, I also think that we're kind of like a closed unit and you can only see, I think that a big fundamental thing of humanity is so many people think that their eyes are projectors and what they're seeing is actually outside them, if you know what I mean. Like the outside you does exist, but what you're seeing is entirely experienced within yourself, in your own brain. You don't actually see outside. Light comes into your body and you process it into vision inside you. But because we're humans, it appears that we're actually seeing outside, but we never see outside ourselves. We only perceive the outside inside ourselves. Have I expressed myself in a way that people can understand that concept? Because it is tricky.
I understand.
So in the same way, I don't understand how you could possibly connect into somebody else's vision of you or anything else. Do you know what I mean? Because as I said, I believe that we're a closed unit. But mostly, I really do, when I think back about my treatments with you, the word that I feel that comes up for me is I would have been incapable of consciously manipulating my view or what I was seeing in those sessions. Do you know what I mean? Like that just was not available to me. So I understand kind of what you're saying. And believe me, everybody knows how avoidant I can be here. I would have definitely tried to avoid stuff. Oh, I did avoid one thing, but it wasn't really like that. I was really scared. And Daniel gave me the option of not staying. And I was like, yeah, no, this is too much for me, that kind of thing, just to be clear about what I was avoiding. But do you know what I mean? The rest of it was a real experience and I think that's why I found it so valuable, is because I felt like I couldn't interfere with it.
I think the difference also with your sessions is that it wasn't even a matter of needing validation. I never got that feeling from you that you absolutely needed to hear what you heard with the connection at the end, where it wasn't going to shift the way you lived your life in one way or another in a significant way. I think it
I assure you it absolutely did, just by the way, Daniel.
Right.
But I probably should have rephrased that. Leading into it, okay. I don't think you went into it saying, I need to hear this in order to live a more fulfilling life. I never got that feeling from you. Whereas for some people that I work with, it's almost like they go in with this expectation of, if I don't receive this information, my life is going to be worthless. And I have no purpose.
Oh, wow.
Nothing. Yeah. So for you,
okay. No, I wasn't talking
never
about
that
kind of stuff. Sorry.
Exactly. So it was like, there really was no need for Rachel to kick in more at that point, because it didn't have to rattle your belief system in a way that you'd been living for a while. And then it's like having almost an existential crisis of, oh, who am I if I don't have this thing that I've had for so long, and the way I've seen this for so long, in an association way, because I think oftentimes when something makes you feel good, you don't want to let go of that. And if something starts to make sense, you don't want to let go of that. And when that unraveling happens, it's very uncomfortable. And as humans, we don't like discomfort. So for you, I never
think
got
Rachel,
that feeling. Yeah.
So
I think Rachel went in with curiosity, right? It was, you were really curious and you were very open. But I can say from my session, I had to, like that part of myself that wants to sort of jump in and control stuff. Not that I was, angling for a certain outcome, but I was kind of continuously trying to, relax that part of myself back to be like, it's okay, whatever happens. So I really do think it depends who you are, what's coming up. And if you've got a really strong, part of yourself that does that, which I do.
So can I ask, okay, so if it's really quite rare, or if in your I don't know if you mean in your experience or just in general, if it's really quite rare to tap into your higher self, what is the purpose of the higher self then?
Well, let me just say, I may be a real shit practitioner when it comes to tapping into the higher self. So it may just be me and what I'm doing wrong. So, accountability is important. But what's the purpose of tapping into it?
What's the purpose of the higher self?
You mean just in general?
Just in general. If it's really difficult to access, or if it's really rare to access the higher self, then what is the purpose of the higher self? What's it doing?
Well, what if it's about an unconscious link that's there, or an unconscious guidance that we're receiving as opposed to a conscious one? I think that may be the purpose of it. It's just, even in this conversation, I started to feel myself go on a roll there a couple minutes ago. Is this me at the wheel right now, or is something starting to kick in and guide me in a way that's allowing me to be like, don't be this, don't be that, just let it flow. And I don't know, maybe I just wasn't aware of it. So like, what's the purpose? I mean, look, I believe in some kind of hierarchy on the other side, whether that just be hierarchy as we see it, or that there are what we'd perceive to be guides and angels, and then all the way up to God, or whatever you want to incorporate in there. But there is something leading us and guiding us along the way, and we have free will, whether or not we want to listen.
But you already answered the question in the sense that you said that you kind of was on a roll there. So whether or not that was you or
you're in flow.
So I think, so I think that it's not. So for me, I think that it's not rare to connect to your higher self. You may just not be aware that it's already in process. You said it.
Yeah. Well, that was a better way of putting it. Thank you for the assist, Amanda.
I think what happens with pessimistic Daniel is you never want to give yourself any credit. Okay. And so it's almost like you're the higher self. It could be the higher self every time, but we want to label it as something else because how is it possible to connect with it all the time? I also want to say this though. You made a comment, maybe I'm a shit practitioner. Well, you're clearly not, because if you got me to see and experience a bunch of stuff, and I'm not somebody who regularly does that, then clearly there's a gift to what you have. Okay. So don't do that for yourself. Yes. But I think that we connect a lot more than we give credit to or realize. And it's easy to dismiss that connection. But at the same time, like if I'm under regression, or if I'm in any state, meditative state, whatever it is, and I'm receiving information that to me feels like the higher self, I'm going to take that at face value. I'm not going to fight it. If it feels wrong, then it feels wrong. But if I'm receiving information that's how I'm connecting, okay, Amanda, I'm going to take it.
Hold on, but can I?
Go on, because I'm going to throw.
Well, I was just
pigeons, so go on.
Okay, I'll let you do that in a second. So, I think what we're talking about here, and what Daniel was speaking about earlier, potentially, is that when someone has a certain idea, their ego more likely jumps in, right? That's really what it is. It's like your ego versus soul. So it's when someone it's like they place an importance on connecting to their higher self. It's like, I'm going to go and do this, and I'm going to find out this, and and then I found out all these things. So it's, it's really about living with that connection and bringing it in to support your life, rather than, trying to prove something for your ego's sake, I guess. It's like, what's the intention?
Exactly. Yeah.
Amanda, blow shit up.
So
Amanda's gonna yell at me.
Sorry.
I mean, thank you, Lauren. So, thank you for the assist there, also, Lauren. And I mean, I think it's about being unconscious when it happens, and not like, this unconscious, but just allowing it to happen, getting into that flow state and having something there with you, saying, I got your back. Just be. Don't worry about, doing a whole ritual before you hop onto this panel with 5 awesome ladies, the girl gang, and say like, we're going to connect with the higher self. Just show up, do your hair, put on a t-shirt, and I got your back, or I got your back. That's how I picture my higher self would talk to me.
Very butch.
So can I ask this then?
I do blow dry my hair before I put the gel in.
The gel.
Of course.
Sorry, what were you saying?
Right. So I was going to say, what if the higher self doesn't actually exist? What if the higher self is actually...
Oh, here we go.
A lie or a belief that has been perpetuated throughout time? What if it all is just us? I think that's kind of like...
You just get cooler and cooler every time I talk to you.
But isn't the higher self, isn't the higher self us? It's still us.
Yeah, it's still us. But what if the higher self? Okay, so this is what people will say. I contacted my higher self. I got in contact with my higher self, and this is what you just said. That what the person had said, that the higher self told him that this was a lesson that he needed to learn. But what if Because what I'm talking about is we are always giving away our power. It's something that I've always spoken about. We're always giving it away to something else, to some other part. It wasn't me, it's my guys. I'm just, it just comes through me. I didn't have nothing to do with it. I'm just a vessel. What if it is all us? There is no higher self. Because if you think about it, we're always fighting between the higher self, the soul. I always have the team as well. So what if, and so let's just keep it to the higher self. What if the higher self does not actually exist? What if that is a part of us splintering away our own power and owning our own sovereignty and owning the fact that we are the ones that actually have access to all this information. We are the ones that are moving in between the different fields, the different levels, the different dimensions.
Maybe I'm alone in this, but I feel like
No, you're not.
Yeah, they've
I'm just
always
asking.
been.
I'm just throwing it out there.
No,
For
I'm
me-
with you, Yana.
Yeah, for me, the higher
What's
self,
that?
my soul,
Is us.
me, is all me. It's all one.
Yeah.
So why do we need
it's all on
all of
board.
these different parts? Why do we need all of these different parts?
You know, all the different
So-
labels.
Yeah.
Well, no, but what Amanda was saying, it was really interesting because, and I like it, but is it easier for us as humans to go, well, my higher self told me, so I'm going to do this, rather than just making the decision yourself and going to do it because you're going to do it? Like, is it abdicating some sort of responsibility for like owning your shit?
That's what I'm asking.
So,
Thank
Kylie,
you.
I
Lauren
hear you.
always
also-
does that. Thanks for the
But
assist, Lauren.
But can't both
Not
of
yet.
those be true at the same time, though? That
Yeah.
Yes.
the higher self can exist, but we also use it as something to just pass off the buck to, like, oh, my higher self told me to do this, that's why I did it, or my higher self told me to say this, that's why I'm an asshole, or I
I'm
was an
waiting to
asshole,
hear
I
from
was
my
fine,
higher
but my
self.
higher self told me this.
Yeah.
And
Or I'm waiting to
so-
hear
I've
from
had
my higher
no one
self.
ever say this. I've never heard anyone blame their higher self or credit their higher self for a decision.
Who are you people?
Never.
oh, I've heard it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I have never heard it.
Never.
Like,
Have
I
you
just
not?
thought your higher self was like some benevolent guide, like maybe manipulating stuff in your reality to,
So if that's the
whatever.
case, then your higher self, from
But-
what you're saying, Rachel, then your higher self is not you.
No, but this is what I was about to say. But it's all driven by me and my thoughts and my versions, and it's all the same sort of.
So when does the higher self
memory.
get installed? When does the higher self
Well,
get
I
installed?
Kylie, I want to call you out because I feel like you've got something to say. Do you?
I'm just
Kylie,
imploding.
Rachel's getting
I'm
like,
crashing
don't
out.
kill off
No,
the higher
it's
self.
like- Well,
just
I also just think
doing
it's a labely kind of thing. I don't think I've really, I
Mm.
mean, like if I've used higher self, it's because that's been the language that has been used in the modality I'm being treated with at the time. Like if they say God, cool, I'll say God. If they say higher, do you know what I mean? Like it's all
The same.
nuanced. It's the same sort of thing. But to me, it's sort of like, there's the human experience and the conscious experience, and then there's basically everything else. And I find that as my human, I find it very difficult to discern between all the nuances of everything else. So I kind of feel it is one big sphere of stuff. So that's what I was about to say. When you're saying what's the difference, I don't know what the difference between the higher self and the soul is. I just thought they were the same name for the same thing. I thought that's the same thing as source. I thought it was
Same.
God. Yeah, I just thought they were all synonyms. So yeah.
Nice. Oh, cool. Something popped on the
Oh
screen.
yeah.
We're
I
all
know.
gonna read
We're
it
all
now.
told not to read it, and yet we're all reading it.
Don't read it.
Stop it. Stop it.
Nobody say it.
No,
Amanda.
look, we
Inside voice.
yes, inside voice. We'll look at it later. But okay, I want to tap in. I want to connect back to, because Daniel, what you're doing right now is essentially, for me, you're ruining my regression experience because you're like, it could have been nothing. It could have been your imagination. Here's the thing. I am 100% open to the fact that it could have been something I made up. However, the information I got was more than just some random movie playing out. It felt there was this authenticity to it, this realness to it. A lot of dots were connected. It wasn't just like a random thing that played out. And not only that, if you remember when me and Lauren Jaffe Rose on the Let's Talk Vibes podcast, when you did a regression on both of us. Was that for that podcast or was it your podcast? Oh, it was for your podcast. It was your when we were on there, you put us in regression at the same time, and we both had a very similar experience show up. It played out differently, but it was the same thing. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but there's no way that if we both weren't connected that we would have had that kind of experience.
So I guess my first question would be, what part of what I said made it sound like I said that someone was making the experience up?
Well, because you doubt, you doubt. You're like, well, it could have been, maybe not.
Yeah, but what part of it did I say they were making it up, though?
Well, that when you say, well, maybe not, it was the higher self.
Well, but that's different. That's different, though.
Semantics.
Yeah, that's different.
Come on.
No, that's very no, because that's a different part of the session. What you were referring to is the past life portion, where still, I think it's always possible, but that was completely different. So that's also where I think all of this gets wonky, even when we're having these conversations where we know what we're talking about, but someone from the outside may perceive it a certain way. And then it's like latching onto that. That's what the higher self is. That's what a twin flame is. That's what a soulmate is. So what I was saying is that even in the past life portion, I'm not saying that it's made up, but it's about the perspective for what you're viewing. And are you seeing it from a different perspective and associating with something that you're not, but you're still there, but you're just like, I'm that person instead of I'm this person. I'm not saying that it's not real what you're experiencing. It's just a matter of how our minds perceive this thing that we're seeing that can, while it can be viewed objectively, there's also a subjective way of viewing it, because how do we fully know what we're looking at and understand the association when we're kind of fish out of water there at the same time, and we're doing the best that we can as humans to be in this very foreign place that we're not like, I don't know anything about living in the 1400s or, you know, what it was like to be a woman. But if I see someone in front of me and not realizing that, oh, I'm looking at this from 4 feet above the ground, that, hey, maybe I'm not that woman who's 5'2" and that's standing in front of me and 20 years old, but I'm actually a child who's 6.5 years old, but that's my mother or my sister or my cousin and someone who I have a very close association with. So the association that I'm feeling, I'm then in my human brain saying, that's me. And I'm viewing it through the lens of the things I see happening to that woman. That's me. Like, that is me. And not realizing that I'm a 7-year-old boy in this life. But still, you're there for what is transpiring. And you're seeing whatever the lesson is, because I do believe you bring yourself there for a reason. And the lesson is what's important. And if that person's there and you're there, but you're still getting the gist of it in the lesson,
right?
Does it matter if we're looking at it from 4 feet above the ground or 5.5
no,
feet?
Not at all.
So that's all I'm saying. But how we shape it. So for a situation like that, I don't see a problem, because what does that really change at the end of the day? If it was something so monotonous or just so mundane, but you realize like, oh, something really bad happened to that girl, and oh, I was there for it. So even though it didn't happen to me, or maybe it did and I just didn't see that, but I see that it happened, I was there, I got to deal with it. So that's, yeah.
But
isn't there an element of transmuting the experience, though, from visiting it? Like, well, I'm thinking from my perspective, not that I've had this sort of experience in your treatments, to be honest, but from my perspective, it would be kind of irrelevant whether you identified as the boy or the mother, because you're in an environment of whatever that stressor was. Mm-hmm. And even if you were associating yourself with actually being your mother, not inappropriately, but, you know, not accurately, isn't there an aspect of connecting to that experience that does transmute the emotional charge? Isn't that part of the point of coming to see you?
Yeah, totally. And that's what, that's why I think seeing is what's important.
So is your point sort of thing that people take evidence of, for want of better words, trauma from possible lives that may or may not have been theirs, and then start associating with that trauma?
It's like making it an identity almost.
Yeah, like it's
like they take it on to,
Can it be
rather
the
than the
reverse
energy
effect? Like rather than the release of the subconscious memory of that experience, can it actually do some people bed it down into their consciousness and then start associating with that experience now? Does it go in the reverse way as well?
I think there's always the possibility for that, but that's that person's choice at that point, whether or not they
Right.
want
Okay.
to make it a part of
No,
their
I was just thinking that's what
identity.
you're talking
Yeah,
about, but
no,
maybe I've just missed the point.
Yeah, no. I understand what you're saying, Rachel, and I think I would say that the both can. From what Daniel's saying today, that it's possible that the both scenarios can exist.
Can happen.
So that somebody can go back into another life, and then realize inside that life that, oh, that wasn't actually me that had that experience. That was, say, my sister or my brother, but I identified with it so strongly that I'm now carrying that in this lifetime, which is why I've ended up on your bed, Daniel. And then you realize, well, it wasn't mine.
Oh,
It didn't happen.
No,
No, sorry.
on, not in.
I said on, not in.
Yes.
okay.
I'm
But
I'm going to
David,
pretend like I didn't hear any of that.
Okay, I said on, but like if they were in your space, they'd be on the bed, right? Don't mean in your bed, but right?
I gotcha.
So,
And if it's in person and
yeah.
I'm bringing it, it's a massage table, or it could be a couch.
Yeah, exactly.
Could
It's
be a
massage
lawn
table,
chair,
end up
whatever.
on your
I gotcha.
table.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So I think it's very possible that the two can exist, Rachel. That you go back into your own experiences, as well as probably going back into something that you identified with that wasn't necessarily yours, but you identified with it so strongly, you know, and that it became yours. Because I have known of women that have been pregnant, carrying babies at the time. Well, yeah, I'd hope they were carrying babies at the time. God, I don't know what's happening. Something in my tea, I think. So they're pregnant, and let's just say that they were having a really kind of like tumultuous relationship, and it was very, very violent. It's very, very angry or stuff like that. And when the baby's born, the baby has memory. The baby cannot connect to the father because of that rage and that anger. And all through their lives, they carry that because, you know, even though they may never experience it in their actual physical life after being born. But what they're saying is that while you're carrying that baby, the baby is hearing, sensing everything that's going on. And so they then, it's only in going back in the past life that they realize that when, like somebody had said that to their mother, that I can remember the argument that you had with dad, and he said this, or not even he said this, but this was happening or something like that. And the mother said, well, you couldn't have, you were like, I was carrying you. I was like 4 months pregnant. So how does that, you weren't here, you weren't physically here to see that. And that is like documented fact in the book.
One other part, just to elaborate on, I had a situation come up a couple weeks ago where I do believe, you know, after thinking back, and actually this is one of those things because I'm working on a new method right now. So I'm going back and studying the sessions that I've been doing and listening to this playback. I'm like, I think I missed that. I think there was something I wasn't aware of at that time because I was taking what was being said at face value and seeing that. And this is one of those sessions where it's like, it wasn't pretty, where a lot of really horrific things happen. And then, of course, once I listened back to it, I think realized what actually was going on. I'm like, oh my God, that makes it 100 times worse. But I don't think the person needed to experience it in that way. And seeing that the things that were happening to the person that they thought that they were also happening to them, but just at a different time. So they still got the concept and the gist because they are like, oh, it's happening to me, although seeing it happening to another person, because I think there is something about a third person perspective where there is a little bit more distance between you and what's happening. So it makes it more digestible because it's not happening fully to you because you're not in the body at that point and you're not experiencing, you're just seeing it from the outside, even though you're associating so closely with it and saying, I, but you're not seeing when it was actually happening to you. You're just seeing when it was happening to the other person. Still, I don't think it really matters because you're still saying me, and realizing it happened to me. So I need to deal with this. But it's okay, because that's the way you can actually receive the information. Because at that point, still, the higher self, your guides, God, whoever it is that is really facilitating this process, because ultimately still, I think it's you who is taking you to this moment, because you know that you need to see this. That part of you is just saying, this is the best way for you, me to see it. You know, you, me, I. We know you, me, I, and this is how we will receive it, and you choose how to deal with it, but you better deal with it, because you've been carrying this around. But so you're just seeing it from a third person perspective, but you're still saying it as if it's me or I. Awesome. So I think that's like really the distinction there, is that for that one still doesn't matter. And I don't think it does. I don't think you need to experience that firsthand. As long as you're seeing it and associating and saying me, because you're saying it was me, not you. Because if it's you,
Okay.
then do you need to deal with it. So,
No.
Right, but that's
Yes.
I like that. Yes. But yeah, you know what I mean, on some level. But, yeah. So that's what I mean about just the perception component of it. And for something like that, I see that as innocent. Doesn't make a difference at the end of the day. No, I don't think so. But if you insert some triangular ship into a field in 1142 when you were like a Mongol or something like that, I mean, maybe you're inserting, or maybe there's a conflation that's taking place and you're just piecing things together from other lives, but then somehow a spaceship has landed in the Gobi Desert in the 12th century. And then you're like, well, you know, the Mongols had an encounter with aliens. I was there for it. Well, you know.
Maybe they were.
I'm open to that. Just by the way.
So I know I'm going to piss Jan off with this one, but could be.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I don't think you can say with absolute certainty, yes, 100% these things happened, right?
Exactly.
And that's all Danielle is saying. It's like they may have happened. All things can be true, but I'm not going to say with absolute certainty it is this. And I do think as humans, we have a tendency to latch onto things and make them part of our identity. Well, I did this, I did that. When you think about all the things of like, that was me, that happened to me, that's really all ego. What, you know, and I think, Daniel, what you were saying is, whatever we need, we receive. But it's our human that places importance on, like, you know, labeling it as this or labeling it as that. But we really, at a whatever level, energetic level, receive the healing that we need. It doesn't really matter what the label is.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. And we see that in our healing sessions too, right? You get clients who are like, okay, what's going on? And they give you like a little quick synopsis of what's happening. But it's very clear. You have to be very clear and say, it may come up in the session. It may not. Whatever comes up is what's seen in this moment. And sometimes as a client, like I remember years ago, I would go see this one clairvoyant. And I had my list of the things that I wanted information on. And she'd start off the session by saying, I'm going to give you what I get. I'm not going to give you, you may not necessarily get all your questions answered, but whatever's coming through is important. And it would frustrate me, karmic sixes, because I'd be like, no. I need all my questions answered. But, you know, by the end, you kind of have it, you know, it circles and it has everything completed anyway. But it's very true. Very often you get things that you don't only get the things that you want, you get the things that you need. But I want to circle back. Daniel, you're sitting here telling us about this new process. Is there anything you can share? Obviously, you can't talk about what your work is like or what you do specifically, but tell me the excitement behind this new process or this new offering.
Well, thank you for the floor, Jan. I appreciate it. And I do want to thank the Girl Gang because, you know, in our chats during the recordings and after, you guys have encouraged me to trust myself a lot more. And I would say this new process is more intuitively led. So I do hear your voices in my head, like, you know, with coming at me from 18 different directions. So I want to thank you guys for encouraging me because I know I can be stubborn. I know it was a process and it's something I've been slowly working on for the last 2 years. And this new process is really all about self-empowerment and not handing our power over to a higher self or a spirit guide or anything in that moment, and you being accountable for the information that you were being presented with, but also you having the ability to look at the deepest and darkest parts that you need to look at. And this isn't about release. I think that's also what's very different about what I've done, or from what I've done previously. Bless you. And
Thank you.
because I don't know if we're meant to release what we've been in and all those parts of us, because I think it makes us who we are. And I think that it's simply acknowledging those parts and really confronting it, because I think by releasing it, we're cheating. And instead of running away, I want you to look at exactly what it was and almost hold it in your hands if you need to, instead of just throwing it away. So I think that's very different with what I'm doing. And in all the sessions I've done so far, I've seen this recurring theme that everyone is presented with the opportunity to look at something deep and heavy. But again, it's up to them whether or not they want to make that choice. And some people have and some people haven't, but that's okay. But at the very least, everyone has been presented with that choice naturally, because I think that's how this process varies from other processes, is that it's not light and fluffy. It's not, hey, let's hop on, a magical rainbow, or let's start in the light and feel the light bathing down on us. It's starting from
not for me.
Yeah.
Oh no, you could use it.
I've got to tell you, Daniel, it doesn't sound like it's for me at the moment. You're going to have to, can you tell us, honestly, as far as we can, what you've told us is, it's this great session. It'll take you to some filthy place.
It'll break
you
you
can have
down.
a look at it or not. It's not about releasing. That's cheating. How about it? So
I'm doing a great job selling it, right?
There does seem to be the benefit part seems to be skipped in here. So you have a look at your shit show on the side, and we don't release it. But what's the point then? What
it's
happens?
Acknowledging it, it's seeing it, it's holding it in your hands and knowing what you've done, and again, not associating with it, but understanding those feelings. So when those feelings come up, and you know what it is, and you can move forward, because on some level you felt it your entire life. But we are who we are, and I don't think we're meant to forget what we've done and to let go of what we've done. I think we are who we are, and as we've talked about, I don't believe that time is linear, and I still don't know what the hell that means fully, but that all of these things are happening at the same time, so they are us. And just because we can doesn't mean we should. I think that's the other thing. Because I've often wondered, I'm a firm believer in God, and I've always wondered if God gives us these gifts, for someone who is a medium, and I know a lot of mediums probably wouldn't say it's a gift, but I believe that it can be very helpful for a medium to use those abilities to help someone. But just because we can doesn't mean we should. Same thing with channeling. Just because we can doesn't mean we should, because I think there's an argument to be made that, God allows it. If God didn't want this to happen, would God allow it? Or maybe it's because of the free will. So just because we can doesn't mean we should. So with this, just because we can release it doesn't mean that we should. And from what I've seen with this, it's different. It is very different in a more ugly way. I'm sorry to say it. It's that ugliness, but as a practitioner, I have had a level of ego that I've been working on dissolving. And I'm not going to speak for all practitioners who do what I do, but I think to some extent we all have egos. And there is a rush that comes with, we released it. We got it. They're free of this thing now because we led them and we did this for them. And then they told us after how amazing we were because they're no longer carrying this thing that we helped them get rid of. Okay, that's good for our ego. But what about the person who walks away saying, you know what, Daniel, I really feel like shit. I really feel like shit right now. Well, that ego part of me would be like, Well, I don't want that. I don't want to make them feel like shit. But what if that's where the real healing happens? Is feeling like shit and walking away feeling ugly. And Rachel, there's always an exception to the rule. I see you
I'm
getting
just going to say, honestly, I feel like
you're an exception to the rule.
I'm like, here's your healing opportunity. Honestly, is all I'm thinking of is like.
So yeah. I think when it comes to that, what you're saying, Daniel,
Can I finish that thought? Because that was a bad. Okay, I'll piggyback on that after. Let me write down finished thought.
No,
because I'm like, this is. I made it sound like it's all about me.
Talk to Rachel about marketing.
Yeah, how did she help me make this look pretty? But I don't want it wrapped in a bow.
Pretty. Well, it doesn't have to be pretty, but I'm not joking. You haven't even sold me the benefit of it yet.
What I was going to say is the fact that
but it was the first time I've talked about it publicly.
When you're rounded in your work, right? When you're rounded in your work, I think as a practitioner, you have the knowledge that which you will convey to your clients that this work isn't always pretty. Yeah, It isn't always sunshine and lollipops and roses, and it can be quite an up and down journey. And so when you're working with people, whether they walk away over the moon, overjoyed because this something that was blocking them, or was triggering them, that every time they went to do something or be something, this thing was getting triggered, that they were able to release it and clear it. There are many different ways of work that would look at it in different ways, that people acknowledge it. And then in the acknowledgement of it comes the release and comes the clearing of it. Okay.
Exactly.
Right. And so, but also knowing that even in the ugliness of it, that people can sit with that, they can be with that, they can be with themselves in that process and in that moment. So for me per se, I don't necessarily believe that people are running away or that they're cheating when they're releasing it. And that's probably because of how I do my work, because comes the acknowledgement of what's happening, comes the seeing of the patterns that may have been running or the programs that may have been running, and the acknowledgement of that. And so it still means that you do the work. You're still doing the work, but it's no longer the thing that's controlling you. And it's no longer the pattern that keeps running and running and running, or the program that keeps running and running and running. And so I think that there isn't what am I saying here? I just think that for me, I think I've said it.
Yeah, can I jump in? Right, I'm going to jump in while there's the floor. Amanda, I agree with you. And this is the thing. When Daniel was speaking about the process, I know some of you were going, what is the benefit? I'm like, this is cool. Okay, so I'm like, I like that. I would be the person to put my hand up for this, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So to me, for those who know the numbers, it's very sevensy. The whole point of the sevens is to, explore and love and accept all parts of yourself. Maybe all you won't love it. It's the acceptance. So to me, this speaks to the acceptance of what is. Yeah. And in things being seen, I do believe they are healed. When they are not acknowledged and not seen,
correct,
things perpetuate. So if you go into this process and you see something that's not nice, but it's like you make peace with it because you see where that energy is coming from, and then you're transformed. So that's how I feel about what Daniel's been saying. Hopefully that is in alignment
I agree
with what he's saying.
That's what I was saying. Thank you, Rachel.
And just also, just quickly, it's a tiny bit of a pivot. But Daniel, when you're like, some of my clients leave feeling great, and some of them, leave feeling shit. There's lots of people that get discharged from hospital from successful surgery that are still in pain.
Yes,
but they are healing. But when they're leaving hospital, they're still feeling miserable and drugged and hideous. But 2 months later, they're much better off for having the operation kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're not going to be like that forever. I mean, it's if you're feeling like that for a couple of days, I think it's okay. And I think but even with the process, you still have the choice. You don't have to confront that ugly part if you don't want to. I mean, what's interesting also that I've heard from everyone is right before it's about to start, they're like, I'm feeling this wave of anxiety. Prior to doing this method, I heard that, but maybe 10% of the time. Other than that, it would just be like, oh, cool. But every time I've heard that from everyone. So it's like there's something about this that where you know that you're going to have that opportunity to confront something deep that you've been holding on to that may not be pretty. Whereas with the other methods that I practice, you didn't always see ugly stuff. Now, still, just because it comes up doesn't mean you need to look at it. And just because I think that it would be beneficial for you, I'm not you. I have no control over you. I would say you should look at it, but if you don't want to, that's okay. You don't have to. That's your choice. And I'm not here to force it on you. And maybe it is the higher self's way in that moment of saying, hey, it could be beneficial for them, but it could also be beneficial if they see this thing that's lighter. So if they make the choice to not look at it, they don't have to. That's fine. Just let them make that choice. Everyone has free will. So go down this path. It may not have started with rainbows and butterflies, but if that's what they need, then so be it. I'm just going to trust in the person who I'm doing the session with, in that deeper part of themselves, that they know exactly what they need to see, and that they're going to have that opportunity to go left or to go right. And so it's up to them.
So I think that it has a lot to do then with the courage of the person, because not everybody has the courage, and that's okay. That's okay, because you're just not in that place. Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is that I guess the people that you would be attracting to this work energetically would be the ones that are saying that this is a journey that I probably need to do, not necessarily that I want to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And look, I'm going to be the first one to admit, I've had it done to me a couple times. I struggle with it. I'd like to think that I've done it correctly, but my God, the feeling that comes up in me before it, like, ooh, I feel anger coming up. It's like, I don't know where this is coming from. But
you see, that's really interesting, because in our work, a lot of us have done, say, divine healing, and like if you work with a practitioner, or even when we go into like the trainings, a lot of the, say, students, or even people when they get to you, they will say that we will ask them, how have you been in the last few days? And because all of that stuff starts to come up, I always say that it's coming up for healing. So it just begins to rise, and then that's the dominant thing that we're working with, because it presents itself. So it's almost as if, deep down inside, I'm going to someone that can help me look at this stuff, that can place me in a safe space enough and give me the tools in order to be able to look at this stuff. And then this stuff begins to rise, because it says, hey, we're going to get sorted, or we're going to get, I don't know, whether it's healed, released, or we're going to get seen. Because sometimes, just to add in, people can have that little inner child in them that's raging. It's been raging for years, and a raging inner child isn't always pretty, but it's happening because it needs to be acknowledged. This is what happened, that you've locked away, that you've never really looked at. What happened when I was 7? Do you know what I mean? And it's that stuff that can come up. So, that healing.
And I mean, here's the other thing is, I'm still going to offer the other methods that I've been practicing. I'm not planning on stopping those. So if someone wants to do that, that's okay. They don't have to do this. What I found really interesting, though, is in the last couple weeks, as I've started to offer this behind the scenes more, like I don't have it, I'm not promoting it yet, but I've given people the option, and they've taken it. And I've been like, wow, like this is what you want to do? Awesome. Cool. And it's encouraging for me to see that there are people, even when presented with that option, that they want to take the one where, again, like I don't paint it in a pretty picture, wrap it in a bow. It's like, no, this one could be.
What do you call it, Daniel? What's its name?
I'll tell you guys when we stop recording.
Sorry.
TBD. Okay, Daniel.
Yana.
We love every time you come here, because you allow us to, you take a beating from us, you give it back to us. It is the most fun. And it's just like you truly are just one of the girls. Why don't you let our listeners know where they can find you?
Yeah, so you guys can find me at thepastliferegressionist.com. My podcast is Timeless Spirituality. My Instagram is The Past Life Regressionist. I have a YouTube channel, The Past Life Regressionist, and I have a show on New Reality TV called The Past Life Regressionist. And if you guys are interested in this offering that I've talked about, this new method that sounds so happy and it's going to be
Sounds
Yeah.
juicy.
it's going to be pure
Sunshine
cotton
and
candy.
lollipops and roses.
Right. Just go ahead and send me a message, whether it be through Instagram or my website. There's a contact tab on my website. Just let me know that you want to receive more information about it or you're interested in doing it, and then I'll book you, from the back end, because I don't have it up on the website yet. But if you are interested, just go ahead and reach out to me, and I'm also happy to answer any questions about it if you want to hop on a quick call. And I'm not going to lie to you, and it's a potential to not be pretty, but I think
look,
that's
it's meant to break you open.
Exactly.
Which feels to me like anybody who's coming for a regression are coming to be broken open. I mean, except me, but yeah.
A lot of people are.
Yeah. Okay.
And so as always, I just want to thank you guys for having me on. It's always fun to take a beating from you. And I'm sure that it'll take me about a year to process everything that's been said today. And, so then I'll be like, oh yeah, that Amanda, she had a good point. That Kylie, she's awesome. And there's just something where I don't allow her to get a word in every time I come on. It's always great to hear her
I
talk.
don't know what it is about you and Rachel, but Rachel's like, boom. And there is no so that's okay.
But
All right.
I'm going to make an
Sorry,
announcement
Colin.
right now. I'm going to be having Kylie on my podcast as a solo guest. We haven't scheduled it yet, but so everyone, we're going to have our time where we're just going to get to
I
go
could
back
be
and
nude
forth.
over there too.
Yeah.
I mean, you could, but it might as well just be a solo episode at that point. Or you can interview me on my podcast.
There you
But-
go.
So
I love
just thank
it.
you guys for having me on.
Thank you, Daniel. We appreciate you.
Thanks,
and we're so
Danielle.
happy for
Thank
everybody. If you haven't gotten into our collective membership yet, come join us. It is free 30-day membership. We get monthly calls, private community access, healing sessions, meditation library, Kylie's astrological insights, and so much more. And then also here is, or go visit thepastliferegressionist.com and really get to find out more about Daniel and what he's got going on, and send him a private message about, okay, we're replacing this picture, but send him a private message about getting one of your sessions with him, the one that's going to break you open. As usual, if you're interested in a healing, a reading, a guided meditation session, a light body activation, a guided journey, you want to say hello to Rachel, head on over to yoursoulwisdomshow.com. We thank you for allowing us to create this beautiful space, and we hope you have a blessed day. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.